Okay, first important point is anterior superior iliac spine. Okay, it is felt as a tubercle at the lateral end of the groin as a lateral attachment of inguinal ligament. Here you can see the anterior superior iliac spine. Next is anterior inferior iliac spine. Okay, this tubercle lies at about. Okay, next is anterior inferior iliac spine. This tubercle lies at about 3 centimeter below the anterior superior iliac spine and it is not palpable. Okay, so this is anterior superior iliac spine, 3 centimeter below it at this level lies the anterior inferior iliac spine. Next is pubic symphysis. It is the joint between the right and left pubic bones. Here, the third point is the pubic symphysis and it lies in the midline of the body. Okay, point number 3. Next is pubic tubercle. This is very frequently given anterior superior iliac spine and pubic tubercle. Okay, pubic tubercle from the midline. This is palpated as a tubercle 2 centimeter lateral to the pubic symphysis. 2 centimeter lateral to pubic symphysis. Here is the pubic tubercle. Okay. Next is tubercle of the iliac crest. This is also important point. Okay. This is felt as a tubercle about 5 centimeter behind the anterior superior iliac spine along the iliac crest. Okay. From this anterior superior iliac spine, you trace the iliac crest posteriorly. Okay. So 5 centimeter posterior to this spine will be the tubercle of the iliac crest. Okay, understood? Next is greater trochanter. It is palpated about 7.5 to 8 centimeter below the tubercle of the iliac crest. Okay, lateral side of the gluteal region, you palpate a prominent structure, bony prominence, that is greater trochanter. Next is inguinal ligament. It is felt in the fold of the groin at the junction of the abdomen and the anterior aspect of the thigh. You write down the points in your copy. কি আসছে এগুলো লিখে রাখ, তাহলে এক্সামের সময় সুবিধা হবে পড়তে। Next is mid-inguinal point. What is mid-inguinal point? Inguinal point is a mark, a point midway between the anterior superior iliac spine and the pubic symphysis. Anterior superior iliac spine, pubic symphysis. In between these two lies the mid-inguinal point. Here, mid-inguinal point. And midpoint of the inguinal ligament, it is a mark midway between the pubic tubercle and anterior superior iliac spine. এই তোরা দুজন কোথায় যাচ্ছিস? যাও তো দেখে আনো, দুজন চলে আসো এদিকে। আগের ব্যাচে কিছু না, সবার একসঙ্গে ক্লাস হচ্ছে। তোকে কে যেতে বলেছে? পারমিশন কে দিয়েছে? Next is adductor tubercle. Here is the adductor tubercle, point 10. A tubercle 5 centimeter above the medial epicondyle of the femur. Here, okay. This is very important. Every alternate person is given adductor tubercle. Lateral epicondyle of femur, 11. Laterals on side of the condyle of the femur. Most prominent point is lateral epicondyle of the femur. Next is tibial tuberosity. Here is the tibial tuberosity. Okay, it is felt as a tuberosity on the tibia. You have to feel the patella and continue the palpation downward to feel the tibial tuberosity. Okay. Medial malleolus of tibia. These two are also very frequently given. Medial malleolus and lateral malleolus. Okay. Medial malleolus is located here, point 13. Most prominent bony landmark on the medial aspect of the ankle. Next is lateral malleolus of fibula. Here is 14. It is the most prominent bony landmark on the lateral aspect of the ankle. Next is tendocalcaneus. It is a tough fibrous tendon seen in the lower aspect of the leg posteriorly above the heel. Okay, tendocalcaneus. Here, point 15 represents the tendocalcaneus. Next is ischial tuberosity. This is palpated as a bony prominence 5 centimeter above the gluteal fold. Okay, this is the bone on which the pelvis rests in sitting position. This is also an important landmark during dissection or during some incision, surgical incision. This is important. Okay. Ischial tuberosity, palpated as bony prominence 5 semi above the gluteal fold. Next is posterior superior iliac spine. This is seen and felt as two symmetrical dimples in the lower back on either side of the ala of the sacrum in standing position. Okay, patient in prone position, you can see two dimples in the lower back. This is the position of posterior superior iliac spine. These are important. These points are important for different tastes or for different sort of pushing injections or locating different vertebral levels. Okay. Next is Nelaton's line. During giving the epidural anesthesia or subdural anesthesia, you have to locate appropriate vertebral level to push through the lumbar puncture needle. Okay. So for that you have to know these points. That's why we are discussing it. Next is Nelaton's line, an imaginary line extending from anterior superior iliac spine to the ischial tuberosity. See, this patient is in supine position, anterior superior iliac spine point A to ischial tuberosity. And this is in supine position. Tip of the greater trochanter normally lies at the level or below this line. Here is the greater trochanter. It is lying below this line. And if the greater trochanter lies above this line, this indicates hip dislocation or hip fracture. Okay, that's why this line is important. Important for your Viva and MCQ, Nelaton's line. Okay. Next is Bryant's triangle. It is marked in supine position. You have to first draw a line from anterior superior iliac spine to greater trochanter. Anterior superior iliac spine to greater trochanter. Okay. And second line, draw a line from anterior superior iliac spine vertically downward, AC. And draw a line from greater trochanter perpendicular to the previous line, here, this one. So these three lines are together forming a triangle, and that is known as Bryant's triangle. Okay. So what is this importance of this Nelaton's line and Bryant's triangle? Tip of greater trochanter normally lies at the level or below the Nelaton's line. And if the greater trochanter lies above this line, this indicates hip dislocation or hip fracture. Next is Bryant's triangle. It has to be drawn on both sides, and this helps to find out supratrochanteric shortening of the hip by comparison of both sides. And the most common causes for supratrochanteric shortening of the hip are dislocation of hip, fracture neck of femur, and the coxa vara. Okay. Next is femoral artery. So we have discussed the points, important points we have discussed. In the surface marking exam, you have to draw one point and one line. Okay, line can be for artery, vein, nerve, fossa, like this. Okay, so next we are going to important arteries. First is femoral artery. First, mark the mid-inguinal point here. Point A, mid-inguinal point. Mark the adductor tubercle. B is the adductor tubercle, and it is located 5 cm above the medial epicondyle. And join these 2 points by a line. Okay, double line with red color chalk dust. You draw the lines and divide the line into 3 equal parts. The upper third represents the femoral artery in the femoral triangle. Middle third represents femoral artery in adductor canal. Okay. Thus, the upper 2/3 of this line represents the femoral artery. Okay. After that, the femoral artery will pierce through the adductor magnus, the opening in the fifth osteoaponeurotic opening of the adductor magnus, and it will enter posteriorly to form the popliteal artery. Okay, so lower third is not representing the femoral artery. Next is inferior gluteal artery. These are not generally given, we are not discussing. Superior gluteal artery also not important. Popliteal artery is very frequently given. Okay, popliteal artery mark a point at the junction of middle and lower third of back of thigh. Here, middle and lower third of back of thigh. Mark a point at the level of tibial tuberosity on the back of leg. Here, at the level of tibial tuberosity on the back of the leg, and join these 2 points, and this will mark the popliteal artery. We have seen the popliteal artery in the cadaver, so it is located here. Popliteal artery, popliteal pulse is felt. Lower limb pressure is measured sometimes via the popliteal artery. Okay, sometimes blood is withdrawn or some injections are done in this popliteal artery. That's why it is important. Next is anterior tibial artery. It is also given. Mark a point 2.5 centimeter medial to the neck of fibula. This is neck of fibula, 2.5 centimeter medial to the neck of fibula. Point C. Mark the point midway between the 2 malleoli. Here, point D, midway between 2 malleoli, and join these 2 points to draw the anterior tibial artery. Okay, remember the points. You have to tell the points during the viva of surface marking. Okay. Next is posterior tibial artery. Generally, anterior tibial artery is given. It is also given less commonly. So, mark the point at the midline of the leg at the level of neck of fibula. Here, next mark a point midway between the medial malleolus and the tendocalcaneus. Here, point B. And join these 2 points to draw the posterior tibial artery. Okay. Next is dorsalis pedis artery. This is also very frequently given. Dorsalis pedis artery. It is continuation of the anterior tibial artery, and point. This is A and B. Point A is a marked point midway between the 2 malleoli at the ending point of anterior tibial. And second point is point B. Mark a point at the base of the first intermetatarsal space. This is intermetatarsal space, first one. At the base of this space, you give second point. Just lateral to the tendon of extensor hallucis longus. Okay, extensor hallucis longus, you dorsiflex the grade 2. Okay, to identify the tendon of extensor hallucis longus, and the point must be on the lateral to the tendon of the extensor hallucis longus. Okay, here you can palpate the dorsalis pedis artery. The extensor hallucis longus can be felt and seen by extending the grade 2, and you have to join the A and B to draw the dorsalis pedis artery. Okay. Next, what is the importance of these arteries? Femoral artery is palpated just below the midinguinal point, and the position of lower limb should be extension at the hip, lateral rotation of the thigh, and semiflexion at the knee. And once the femoral artery is palpated for, it is used to introduce the catheter for various purposes. For cardiac catheterization or different operations, cardiac surgeries, femoral artery is used. Most common being the coronary angiography. Okay. Next is femoral artery can be used to draw arterial blood when radial artery cannot be used. In collapsed patient, patient in shock, you cannot palpate the radial artery. Then you have to draw arterial blood for ABG from this femoral artery. Okay. Next is popliteal artery. You have to draw blood from femoral artery or femoral vein during your internship. Okay. Next is popliteal artery and femoral artery pulses, and you have to palpate it during your medicines and surgeries. Okay. So you have to locate the artery. Next is popliteal artery. It is the artery used for measuring the blood pressure of the lower limb, and the stethoscope diaphragm is kept in the popliteal fossa for auscultation of the popliteal artery. Okay, during measurement of BP of the lower limb. And lower limb pressure measurement is significant for diagnosis of coarctation of aorta. Okay, in coarctation there is narrowing after the 2 branches of the arch of aorta. Okay, so in the upper limb is getting from left from subclavian. So on the left upper limb the pressure is normal, but after that the lower limb or right side of the body pressure is lower because there is an obstruction near the arch of aorta. Next is peripheral arterial pulsation of the anterior tibial, posterior tibial and dorsalis pedis. It is regularly felt during clinical examination of lower limb and their presence indicates clear blood flow through the respective blood vessels, and this is of diagnostic importance in peripheral arterial disease. Example, thromboangiitis obliterans. This is a peripheral arterial disease. Okay. An anterior tibial artery is palpated midway between two malleoli. Posterior tibial artery is palpated just behind the medial malleolus. Okay. Peripheral pulses you have to take during your clinics. Okay. And dorsalis pedis artery. This is very frequently you have to check in the patients. It is palpated as pulsation lateral to the tendon of extensor hallucis longus in the first intermetatarsal space, and the extensor hallucis longus tendon is made taut and visible by extending the great toe. Next is saphenofemoral junction. This is also very commonly given. Okay, saphenofemoral junction. In case of varicose vein examination in a patient you will get in surgery, you have to locate this point to block the perforators here. Okay. So mark a point 4 cm below and lateral to the pubic tubercle. Here is pubic tubercle, 4 cm below, 4 cm lateral to the pubic tubercle. This is location of saphenofemoral junction, and draw a oval opening around this point. That is the saphenous opening. Okay, understood? Next is great saphenous vein. Mark a point just behind the medial malleolus. Here, point A. Mark a point at adductor tubercle and mark a point at the saphenofemoral junction. Join these 3 points to form the great saphenous vein. This is also given, important line. Okay, great saphenous vein. These are the location of perforators. Perforators you prepare for your theory. Very important location of perforators. Okay. These are mainly 5 perforators of the great saphenous vein, and the perforator veins are veins which connect the superficial veins with the deep veins. Hence they help in venous drainage from superficial to deep veins, and they have valves which are located at the junction of veins it connects, and they allow unidirectional flow of venous blood from superficial set of veins to deep veins. Perforator in the adductor canal is located about 5 cm above the adductor tubercle. Here, okay, here is adductor tubercle point B, and this is perforator in the adductor canal. Perforator below knee, here, point E, located below the knee joint on the medial aspect. You have to see the location of varicosity. In a patient with varicosity, then you have to determine which perforator is not incompetence. Okay, perforator incompetence, then you have to do the surgery at that region. Next is upper perforator of the leg is located at the junction of lower and middle third of the leg. Here, upper perforator. Middle perforator of the leg is located just above the medial malleolus. Okay, near just above the medial malleolus. And lower perforator of the leg is located posteromedial to the medial malleolus here. So these are the 5 perforators. Next we are going to next vein, short saphenous vein. Mark a point below the lateral malleolus here, and mark a point at the junction of middle and upper third of the leg in the midline, and the line joining point A and B represent the short saphenous vein. Okay, this is also given less frequently. Great saphenous vein is given very frequently, and saphenofemoral junction is important. Next is femoral vein. It is also given. Okay, so mark the femoral artery first. Point at A at midinguinal point. Point B at the adductor tubercle. Okay, so mark the femoral artery, and in the upper half draw a line medial to the artery, and in the lower half continue the line lateral to the artery. Okay, there is a crossing at the adductor canal you have seen during dissection. So the crossing you have to show and draw it with the blue chalk dust. So the saphenofemoral junction is identified to block the opening of the saphenous vein and prevent retrograde flow during clinical examination of varicose veins. And great saphenous vein is the most common vein to get varicose. Hence, the surface anatomy of great saphenous vein and location of its perforators are important to identify and differentiate the level of varicosity. Okay. Varicose vein is important long case in your surgery. Next is the location of perforators are very important as this helps in clinical examination when the level of valve defect and extent of varicose vein need to be detected. And many tests are performed to locate the defects in the perforators by using the surface anatomy of location of these perforators. Okay, multiple tests you will learn later on. Femoral vein can be used to draw, this clinical aspect is used in your explain why question or part of long question. Clinical aspect of femoral artery and femoral vein is very important for theory. Femoral vein can be used to draw blood, especially in patients in shock, where distal veins may have prolapsed or already cannulated. And it can be cannulated for hemodialysis in dialysis patients, you will see. And this an internal jugular vein here that is also used for hemodialysis. Next, femoral vein is accessed when a large vessel need to be cannulated for injecting radiographic dyes or inotropic agents. This increase the heart rate. Drug to increase blood pressure in patients in shock. Okay. Next is femoral nerve. This is also given. Mark the mid-inguinal point here. Mark a point 2 semi-lateral to the mid-inguinal point. 2 semi-lateral to mid-inguinal point. And draw a line of length about 2.5 centimeter from this point. Okay, this length is 2.5 centimeter. And that will represent the femoral nerve. Okay. You remember from your knowledge of dissection for drawing. Okay. Next is sciatic nerve. Sciatic nerve is also important for line. Mark the posterior superior iliac spine. From those dimples you will see in the lower back. Posterior superior iliac spine. And the ischial tuberosity. Ischial tuberosity is prominent bony part. You can feel it. Mark a point lateral to the midpoint of this line here. And mark the greater trochanter, join the greater trochanter to the ischial tuberosity. Greater trochanter to the ischial tuberosity. And mark the midpoint of this, point E. And mark the apex of the popliteal fossa here in the thigh. And join all these 3 points, point C, E and F. You will join to locate the sciatic nerve. Okay. Next is tibial nerve. Tibial and common peroneal is also given. Tibial nerve mark the upper limit of popliteal fossa, point A, lower limit of popliteal fossa, point B, and mark the point midway between the medial malleolus and tendocalcaneus. Medial malleolus and tendocalcaneus. So join these 3 lines to form the tibial nerve. Next is common peroneal nerve. Mark the upper limit of popliteal fossa, mark the neck of fibula. Join these 2 points to mark the common peroneal nerve. Okay, understood? Next is superficial peroneal nerve. This is not commonly given. Mark the neck of fibula. Here, mark a point at the junction of middle 1/3 and lower 1/3 of peroneus longus muscle and join these 2 points here. This is superficial peroneal nerve. Next is deep peroneal nerve. This is given. Deep peroneal nerve. Mark the neck of fibula. Mark a point midway between 2 malleoli and join these 2 points. Okay. It is lying almost along the anterior tibial artery. Points are also almost same. Only the upper point is different. Okay. and the line represents the anterior tibial artery, and the nerve lies lateral to the anterior tibial artery in the upper and lower part, and over the artery in the middle third. Okay, that's why the deep peroneal nerve is called nervus hesitans. Okay, as if it is hesitating to cross the artery. Understood? This is also asked in your explain why. Why deep peroneal nerve is called nervus hesitans. Okay. Next, applied aspect. I know iatrogenic injuries of the sciatic nerve can be prevented by giving intramuscular injection in the upper and outer quadrant of the gluteal region. That you have already learned in your gluteal region class. This comes in your explain why. Why intramuscular injection is given in upper outer quadrant of the gluteal region to prevent injury to this sciatic nerve. Okay. Next, common peroneal nerve can be palpated through the skin at the neck of the fibula, and this nerve also thickens when infected with leprosy and a valid point for clinical diagnosis. And the neck of the fibula is vulnerable to fracture, and invariably the common peroneal nerve gets injured, leading to foot drop. Okay. Next is different retinaculum, flexor retinaculum. Draw a band of 2 cm width between the medial malleolus point A and the tubercle of calcaneum. This represents the flexor retinaculum. Next is two extensor retinaculum are there, superior and inferior. This is superior, this is inferior. Superior extensor retinaculum, draw a band of 3 cm width between the anterior borders of the lower aspect of tibia and the fibula. This is superior extensor retinaculum. And inferior extensor retinaculum, it is Y-shaped. Okay. Stem, mark the stem. This is stem and these are the two limbs of the Y. So mark the stem at the superior surface of the calcaneum, and the stem runs upward for about 2 to 2.5 cm and then divides into two bands. Upper band is drawn up to the medial malleolus and the lower band is drawn medially to the plantar aspect of the foot. So this is inferior extensor retinaculum. Next is superior peroneal retinaculum. This one is superior and this one is inferior peroneal retinaculum. Superior peroneal retinaculum is a band of 2 cm width and it is drawn from the lateral malleolus to the lateral tubercle of calcaneum. Lateral malleolus to lateral tubercle of calcaneum. An inferior peroneal retinaculum is band of 2 cm width drawn from lateral tubercle of the calcaneum to the superior surface of the calcaneum, and this becomes continuous with the stem of inferior extensor retinaculum. Okay, so these are the retinaculums around the ankle joint. Two peroneal retinaculum, two extensor retinaculum, one flexor retinaculum. Next is femoral sheath. Mark the midinguinal point, draw a rectangle below this point, and this rectangle is about 2.5 cm long and 3 cm broad. This represents the femoral sheath. Okay, that's all. So these are important for your surface marking. Okay, for important points, adductor tubercle, tip of medial malleolus, tip of lateral malleolus, tuberosity of the navicular in the foot. You can palpate it. These are sustentaculum tali. These are also given. Anterior superior iliac spine, tubercle of iliac crest, tibial tubercle or tibial tuberosity, head of fibula. These are important for your important points of inferior extremity. Okay. And lines are those femoral artery, popliteal artery, anterior posterior, anterior tibial artery, posterior tibial artery, tibial nerve, common peroneal nerve, dorsalis pedis artery, deep peroneal nerve. All these are important. Okay. Okay, any queries from this surface marking class? Okay, everyone knows how you have to draw. Draw with the chalk dust, with the earbud or those cardboards. Okay, point is drawn with white chalk dust. Lines are drawn according to the color coding. Okay, like ducts. Ducts are drawn with double line. Parotid duct is given. Okay, duct is double line. It's white chalk dust. Artery double line, red chalk dust. Vein double line, blue chalk dust. Nerve yellow line with the single line will be there. Okay, and if you have to draw this retinaculum or fossa like this, you can use the green chalk dust. Okay, so this is the color coding system. Okay, that's all. Any queries? Like those endocalcaneus or those fossa different retinacula, all these can be drawn with green chalk dust. Okay, no queries? Any queries from this topic? No queries.